Community, it's the whole thing about radio in a small town, and it's what you are, Mark. You're so involved and ingrained in the community.
Well, to be perfectly honest, Steve, from my own personal experience, because anybody that knows me knows there's a whole backstory. I have to say that the community and the general area are nothing but kind. It's incredible. Some of the kindness and some of the things that I've experienced firsthand, and my family as well. It really is incredible for an area that's generally seen as, not. I don't think we'll ever be known as the employment center of New Brunswick. We're pretty well, I won't say impoverished. That's a little bit of a stretch, but things are not always easy on the North Shore. But the people are more than willing to give anything that they can and do anything that they can to help somebody in need. And as I say, I know from my own personal experience, having gone through, having to disable children and some of the things that were done and some of the people that did things or come up and said things that, I had no idea that people were even paying attention to me, let alone think that I and my family were important enough to try and lend a hand to. So yes, the community is everything, and that's the biggest part of why I stay, is because I'm able to help the community. As you say, when there's a fundraising dance for somebody that has cancer treatment, maybe I can't get out to the dance because for whatever reason, but it's still nice to know that you can help just by letting people know that it's going on. Maybe you can't get 12,000 people there, but if you get an extra half dozen people, anybody that's experiencing some sort of, particularly with medical-related issues, there's already stress enough. So if a few bucks here and there, it genuinely really does make a difference. So if I can help, I'm really happy to be able to do that. I feel very privileged to be able to do that.
Yeah, I felt the same way too. Not long after I got back on the air back home in Campbellton in 2003 or 4, whatever it was, I noticed, a couple of different people asked me, could you MC one of our functions? And I said, well, what's it for? And they'd tell me, and I'd say, well, okay. And they'd say, well, what do you charge? And I said, well, I don't charge anything. What do you need? And I said, look, I don't know what you need. I don't know what you're going to get me to do, but whatever you need, here, I'm your monkey in the cage. Go and do what you need me to do, and that's all I could do. And everybody was so grateful when I did, and I couldn't understand. Well, what did I do? I got up there and I grabbed the microphone and said an announcement that somebody else could say, but I mean, I think it's the spirit of it. And when somebody else helps, it just gets that big circle going where you're all part of it. And there's, then it doesn't become anybody helping anybody. It's just, this is what we all do, and.
Well, that's the definition of community, right?
Yeah.
In my perspective, that's the definition of community. We all work together to make life as easy as we can for one another. And that seems to be something that, not particularly here in northern New Brunswick, but it seems to be lost in certain sectors of society, the idea of community, which is kind of sad, really.
And in cities, bigger cities, of course, too, that's one thing you lose out on a lot of times is that sense of community. You could live next door to some. I don't know any of my neighbors. I couldn't tell you the name of any of my neighbors or how many people even live in the unit next door on both sides. And that's, for me, I'm ashamed of that, But if I was back in Campbellton, I'd know both sides, and I know probably 2 or 3 other people live down the hallway, So it's that sense of personal connection that you get, in small towns that you really appreciate.